The fourth stage. Now they ate and drank and chatted a little longer, until their guide said, "It's getting late. It's best if we get ready to go." So they got up to go, and the young boys went before the others. When Christiana set out, she forgot to take her bottle of spirits with her, so she sent her little boy back to fetch it. Mercy said, "I think this is a place where things get lost. It was here that Christian lost his scroll, and here Christiana left her bottle behind." She turned her attention to Great Heart and asked, "Sir, what is the cause of this?" Their guide said, "The cause is sleep, or forgetfulness. Some sleep when they should stay awake, and some forget when they should remember. This is why it often happens at resting places that some pilgrims come away losers. Pilgrims should pay careful attention and remember what they have already received during the good times. When they don't, their happiness ends in tears, and their sunshine is clouded, just as you witnessed happened in Christian's story when he visited this place. When they came to the place where Mistrust and Timorous met Christian to persuade him to go back for fear of the lions, they saw something like a stage, and in front of it, towards the road, stood a large sign with a verse written on it, and beneath the verse was the explanation of why the stage was there. The verse read, "Let him who sees this stage take care of what he says and thinks. If he doesn't, he'll come here, just like some did long ago." The words underneath the verse explained, this stage was built to punish those who, through cowardice or lack of faith, become too afraid to go further on pilgrimage. This is the stage where Mistrust and Timorous were burned through the tongue with a hot iron for trying to hinder Christian on his journey. Mercy said, "This is much like the saying of the Beloved. What shall be given to you, and what more shall be done to you, you deceitful tongue? Sharp arrows of the warrior with the burning coals of the broom tree." Psalm 120, verses 3 to 4. So they went on until they came within sight of the lions. Now Great Heart was a strong man, so he was not afraid of the lions. But when the rest of them approached the place where the lions were, the boys were still walking ahead of the others. However, once they spotted the lions, they quickly cringed and hurried to follow behind the others, for they were afraid of the lions. So when they hurried to fall in step behind the others, Great Heart smiled. He said, "Tell me, boys, how is it that you love to take the lead when there's no danger approaching, and yet love to hurry behind as soon as the lions appear?" Now as they drew nearer to the lions, Great Heart pulled his sword and held it at the ready, with the intent to use it to make a way for the pilgrims, in spite of the lions. Suddenly, a giant man appeared. He was bloody, because he had slain pilgrims, and his name was Grim. He asked, "What is the reason you have come here?" The pilgrim's guide, Great Heart, said, "These women and children are going on pilgrimage, and this is the way they must go, and they will go this way in spite of you and the lions." The giant Grim said, "This is not their way. They shall not enter in. I am coming forth to stand against them, and will back the lions. Now, to tell the truth, because of the fierceness of the lions and the dour bearing of the giant who backed them, this way had few travellers in recent times, and it was almost overgrown with grass. Christiana said, though the highway has been unoccupied lately, and even though other travellers have chosen to walk the bypaths, it must not be so this time, for I am risen a mother in Israel. The highways were deserted, and travellers went by roundabout ways. The peasantry ceased. They ceased in Israel, until I, Deborah, arose. Until I arose, a mother in Israel. Judges chapter 5, verses 6 to 7. Then Grim swore by the lions that way should remain untravelled, and so he told them to turn aside, because he would not allow them to pass that way. But Great Heart, the Pilgrim's guide and conductor, made his first approach toward Grim and came against him, and his sword struck so heavily that he was forced to retreat. The giant stood breathing heavily and said, will you slay me here on my own ground? Great Heart said, it is the king's highway we are on, and it is you who have placed lions in that way. But these women and these children, though they are weak, shall not veer from the way in spite of your lions. And with that he struck the giant again with a downright blow. The giant dropped to his knees. With another blow he broke his helmet, and with the next he cut off an arm. The giant roared so hideously that his voice frightened the women, and yet at the same time they were relieved to see him sprawling upon the ground. Now the lions were chained, and so they could do nothing on their own. Therefore, when old Grim, who intended to back them, fell dead, Great Heart urged the pilgrims forward. Come and follow me. The lions will not hurt you. So they hurried along, though the women trembled as they passed by them, and the boys looked as if they would die. But they all got by without further hurt. Now, they were soon within sight of the porter's lodge, and they hurried to arrive at the gate before dark, for it is dangerous to travel there at night. So when they arrived at the gate, Great Heart immediately knocked. The porter cried out, who is there? As soon as Great Heart said, it is I, the porter knew his voice and came down, for Great Heart had often travelled this way as a guide, and had come here as a conductor of pilgrims. The porter hurried down and opened the gate, but he saw only the guide standing at the gate, for he didn't see the women or children who were standing behind him. The porter greeted him. Hello, Mr. Great Heart. What brings you here so late at night? I have brought some pilgrims here, he said. Pilgrims whom my lord says must lodge here. I would have been here earlier if I hadn't been opposed by the giant who used to back the lions. But after a long and tedious fight with him, I have cut him down and have brought the pilgrims here in safety. The porter said, won't you come in and stay till morning? Great Heart shook his head. No, I will return to my lord tonight.